Howdy, howdy, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome to Card Reviews and Magic Theory by Jesse. Yes, we have rebranded the channel, and when I say rebrand, I don't mean we're changing anything up. We have been doing Magic for a little over a year now on the channel, so now I think it's about time that we officially move forward with a nice, brand new, crispy, crisp name, like Krispy Kreme donuts. Yummy, yummy. I love glazed donuts. Anyway, so what I've got here for you today, something absolutely beautiful. We are in the card dungeon because anytime that you're watching my videos, I want you to know that we're in the same place because it's always different in the background. It's fine. So I just opened up a fresh box of the first playing cards because we've got First Dot Shop. I just want to make sure that I'm saying that correctly. Over on Instagram is doing a brand ambassador contest for 2022. They're looking for brand ambassadors, so I implore you, go check it out. If you like doing videos, if you like doing pictures, they've got something. They've got clothes, and you're gonna be wearing clothes. I'm telling you. I make this joke every time, but trust me, you're wearing clothes most of the time. Okay, so you've got something to offer. Okay, they've also got the playing cards and all the other goodies over there on First Dot Shop. So go check it out if you're interested in being a brand ambassador. I know I am, and so I'm putting in some overtime here. But even if I'm not successful, that's okay because I'm still going to support them. They're still fantastic. So today we've got brand new deck of cards. If you are familiar, this deck does come in a special stack. And you're probably wondering why it's already open. And of course, I'm going to tell you why. Because this isn't the first take. why would it be the first take? I mean, if I was that good, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Okay, anyway. So what we've got here today, yeah, okay. So obviously we've got 4 jacks, okay? Now, the trick I'm going to be showing you today, I'm going to be showing you a trick. I'm going to be teaching you this trick. This is one of my favorite tricks because it's the first trick I ever learned, and it's something that I want to talk about in detail today. We're talking about magic theory today. We're going to go through the steps. I'm trying to get better at talking to you about how it works, but I want to do a little bit of a performance first. We've got the 4 jacks. I call it the jumping jacks. You can call it whatever you want. There is a name for this. I wish I knew what it was. I just tell you, I don't know. So we got the 4 jacks. Jack number 1, Jack number 2, 3, and of course, Jack number 4. Okay. Now, something to keep in mind. Okay. These are the Knights of the Kingdom. Okay. They're going to travel to the south. They're going to travel to the east. And of course, they're going to travel to the west. But the Jack of Spades, he's going to stay. Okay, he's going to stay in the north. Okay, because if anything were to happen and he needed to call them back, then of course they will ride as fast as they possibly can to reunite with their brother. So there you go. I call it the jumping jacks. Okay, I absolutely love it. I love calling it jumping jacks because it really leads into something else. I love it because they're the knights that really kind of plays into each other. I do have a version of this that I haven't practiced in a long time, but there's really like a calling effect to it where there's more going on than just the jacks showing up. So now there's a couple of nuanced things that you're going to want to remember with this. I think this trick works well when you're standing up. And to be honest, let's talk about the trick where a lot of people do. The trick that a lot of people do is the robbers. So you can use any 4 of a kind, and really you don't even need a 4 of a kind. You could just have 4 calling cards. So it could be 4 selected cards that you've had. Like if you've had 4 people sign stuff through the routine, you can bring them all out using this. So the 4 robbers are basically in a building. They all go to different floors looking for different things, and then obviously they're going to reconvene on the roof so they can make their getaway. So that's the objective there. Mine is knights, and then there's a king added to it, and different things like that. So I really enjoy this effect, and you can kind of make up whatever pattern you like. And I love using the jacks because they jump back to the top, and it's really great. So let's talk about a couple of nuanced things about this. Sitting at the table here, one thing, because the camera is above me, this is going to be fantastic for this. Because a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be doing, I'm not going to want to flash the cards. Okay, so keep that in mind with this trick. You don't want your spectators to be below you because of some of the things that you've got going on here. You can flash, and I may have flashed. I don't know. I won't know until I rewatch it, and that's fine because we are going to teach you, and we're sitting down here at the table. But I would recommend, obviously, being at the table, you don't want to lean too far forward. Like, you don't want the spectator to be below you, rather. So if you are standing up, you're going to want to tip a little bit. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, you've got the 4 jacks. It's a really great trick for the sense that you can actually find them from the deck. So say you were going through the deck, you found the jacks. Okay. Now something that you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to get a pinky break under the top 3 cards. We're just breaking it down for you. So now, one of the things that we talk about, and this is very important, so when we talk about routines, we talk about tricks, we talk about anything at all, breaking something down for you, I want to break it down into the smaller pieces. Break down the equation so that you guys can work on those individual pieces. And one of the first things that you're doing, you can start with the jacks on the top, like I did, or you can just find them. There's nothing wrong with that. You can just say, hey, what's your favorite 4 of a kind? And then you make it a connection with your spectator, because that's something else that's very important. You want to include your spectator as much as possible in the choices. So just because I like to do the jumping jacks, if I were performing for somebody, I would just ask them what they prefer, because that would be the most organic way to get a 4 of a kind. And this goes back to something that I learned from Alex Pandrea, which is the fact that he doesn't like the pick a card thing. He actually likes the idea of having them point to a card they can see, and then of course having that card show up on top. Something like that is something very unique and something very beautiful. So in this sense, why not just say, hey, what's a 4 of a kind that you guys like? You like the 10s? Here, let's go ahead and take a look at the 10s. Something, like, let's say you're at a birthday party. How old is the person? Obviously there's only up to 13, but the birthday person, whatever, if they're going to be 7, 10, whatever it is, you can grab that out. Whatever they prefer, you can grab that out. And that's going to create a connection. So one of the first things you want to do is you're going to want to get that pinky break under the top 3 cards for this particular version. So now you've got your jacks. Now I did it a little bit differently in the performance, and that's okay. I would implore you to find different methods to do the same thing so that you can continue to do this trick over time and change it up and have multiple ways of doing it, depending on, let's say you have different people around you, let's say, any number of things. So now you can see the jack here. You can see it's now on the bottom. You get this really nice, beautiful display as you're going through the jacks. And that's all 4 jacks right there. Boom. Okay. Now you square it up next to the deck and you just put it down there. You don't need to do anything with the break. Now here's the part where you got to be extra careful. This is why you don't want your spectator to be lower than you or lower than their vision of the cards. So even turning sideways is something that's really nice because you don't want to flash. Okay. So here's the 1. Here's the 2. Here's the 3. So what I like to do is I like the first one to go down into the middle of the bottom. Like if you cut the deck in half, put that kind of towards the bottom. You can even spread the cards out as long as you're keeping that nice little downward action going on. The second card goes somewhere in the middle. The third one will go in the middle of the top uppermost section. Okay, then of course showing them this is something that's really nice because they just saw all 4 jacks. They see this jack here. I like to call attention to the card that I'm seeing, Jack of Diamonds. So what that tells us, like the Jack of Spades, he's very empowered, right? The Jack of Diamonds, he's like, This guy, he decided to stay back at the castle to keep an eye on all the treasure, you know, while everybody else went out and searched. Okay, boom. So they're going to go into the pack. I like to do a rotation. I feel like the rotation, it doesn't do anything, but it gives you this illusion that something's happening. So I really like the idea of that. So now you've kind of just pushed 3 cards into the packet. Now, one of the ways that I will do the display, because I always like to throw the spin in there if I can, and sometimes it just doesn't work for me. So one of the things I like to do is I like to just kind of flip the cards over, because it shows a little bit of movement. And then now you've got your 4 jacks have now returned to the top. And they were there, obviously, because you get to that last part. So you've got the pinky break, okay? Then you've got to keep it low so that they can't see it. Spread it out. You want to make sure that you can get a nice spread so that they can see that those cards are throughout the deck. And you want to have that jack on top, so so basically they're seeing a jack, and then they're seeing 3 other cards, and in their brain they're seeing 4 cards, 4 jacks. So then as you push them all down, you're also squaring the top one up, and then push off, do a nice spin, and then show your 4 jacks. And that's one way to do it. You could also do you can shoot the card over if you want to do the shoot the card. Any number of things that you can do to do the reveal. So it's a simplistic trick. So the nuanced thing that we want to go back to is the idea with the pinky count. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but there's 2 different ways to get into it that I can show you here. One of them is to just merely spread out the cards as you're going through them. Now all you're doing is you're keeping your finger here, going into the pinky break like so as you're gesturing. So now you have control of that break, and you've got your jacks that you may have pulled out of the deck, or whatever you managed to pull out of the deck. Now you're just putting it on the top, you're grabbing it with your thumb, and then you're going to get those jacks down there. Now, something that I like to do, but I would be very careful with, is sometimes I like to have a little bit of the next card showing, but not enough to show like the whole pile. And what I'll do is, as I'm bringing these cards over and turning them down, I'll actually start to, with my pinky, start to square up that bottom. So it looks as if I'm going through and I'm actually just squaring up the 4 and then putting it in there like that. And then, of course, going to here, going to here, going to here, flip over the top, you've got your Jack of Diamonds, showing them that those cards are now clearly in the pack. Now all we're going to do is square. I like to use this finger back here instead of covering it with my hand, because that gives them this illusion that maybe something's happening here. You can always come in to square up as you're twisting, and that's fine. The push over, the twist, and then the reveal. Something beautiful. Now we're kind of going over it again, but we did the pinky break that time. This time, after you've done the other way to do the pinky break, would be this. Now, this is just doing a pinky count, which is counting down 3. Now, this is something that can take a little bit more nuance. As you can see, I just let go a larger packet. Now, if you're going to do this, then what I would advocate for is just get used to it. Do your pinky count, and this is something that I don't typically do, because I get to a certain point and then it just releases this whole pile. There's 2, should be 3. Yep, got 3 there. Now here's my recommendation for this. Hide it, okay? Turn, and as you got this point facing towards you, you might be addressing somebody over here saying, so are you okay with these? It's all right. You got these ones. These are nice. Okay. You've got your pinky count. And now you're just going to set that on top. Do the transfer to your thumb, making sure that it's squared up. Again, anytime that you're doing a pinky break, anytime that you're teaching it, you show it like this. Okay. But in reality, your pinky break is just a mere flesh. Just enough. You're not even really going to see it. I have my thumb up top here like this. And this is barely happening in the back here. And then anytime you transfer it over, you get the flesh of your thumb in there to lift it off. So now you've got that going there. So pinky break, 2 different ways to do it. Go ahead and do it. Practice, practice, practice. Then this part is a little bit nuanced, and you want to keep that in mind. You always want to shift, but not like in an unnecessary way. If you've got an audience, you're going to want to move your body naturally to address them so that you're facing them in conversation and engaging with them as you're doing your trick. Now in this case, you don't want to flash the bottom. You don't want to flash the top or the sides. So keep this up here like this, okay? And you're going to cover the top so that they can't see that, and you're going to peel. As you peel it off, you twist it over. Make sure that bottom one is pretty flush. Again, like I said, if they can see a little bit of the white of the next one, that's not bad, because as soon as you start bringing this next one in, your pinky's going to shift to the side, and you're really going to just square that up for the next one. So that one's not going to be as noticeable. This one's coming around here. And the same thing, you're peeling off with your thumb and still holding everything else the same. A little bit, you can have it up like this, or I would advocate to bring it back into more of a shadowed approach, keeping everything nice and hidden. There's your 4, okay? And then you're just squaring up with the pack, keeping everything nice and hidden as you flush it up, because as soon as you flush it up with the deck, it's invisible at this point. Now you don't want to do anything with showing anything, okay? You can pause here, okay? You've got some time. Don't forget to breathe. Anything that you're doing, whether you're running, whether you're doing magic, doesn't matter. Don't forget to breathe, and don't forget to take a second to talk to the audience, because you're already ahead. You're already in the end zone. Now they've got to kind of catch up a little bit. Well, not quite the end zone, but you're definitely ahead of everybody. So you say, okay, you move into your patter. My patter personally is one night goes to the south. You clearly know this because it's the bottom, towards the bottom of the deck, right? Now you've got the next one. That one's going to be the east. You can do west if you want. It's up to you. I go east, and now we're going to jump over to the west, because of course we've got Jack of Diamonds in the north. And like I said, I push that forward for a couple of different reasons. I don't want anything to flash here, and I love that idea of the display showing all 4 of them out jogged, and then bringing this finger up from behind, pushing in, and then boom. Now I can't like grab here, and I'm not going to be pulling in any weird direction. Now you just pushed it in. Now you're done. Now you are done. Boom. Now the Jack has to call, the Jack of Diamonds, whatever Jack you have on top, he's going to have to call his brothers back, or the robber's going to have to, call the because the heist is over. They got to escape. Whatever it is that you're doing for your patter, now you're there. You're there. You're ready to go. Now you're like, okay, now it's time, because the knight's code or whatever. Boom. Obviously you can go from like the south, the east, the west, and the north have met once again. And there you have my jumping jacks, okay? I call it jumping jacks. I'm not saying that it's my trick. I'm saying that that's my title for it. You can do whatever you want. You can make up whatever pattern you want. You can make it yours, okay? I've taught you everything you need to know for this very simple trick. Find other ways to do it as well. And I hope you enjoy, because this trick is something that I personally enjoy this trick immensely. It's something that you can show to people. It's a 4-of-a-kind trick. And as you know, I do have a couple of other 4-of-a-kind tricks that this works very well for, because it allows you to pull the 4-of-a-kind out. Now the 4-of-a-kind has returned, and now you can easily go into a setup where you can place them on top, you can place them on bottom, you can place them into the center. Okay, are we getting rid of them? Who knows? Okay, of course not. And those are controls. Obviously, control to the bottom, because that's a good place for those to be right now. But if they are on the bottom, you want to be careful with doing anything like this. What I would advocate for this is, just grab a couple of cards as you do the flip over, and then come back around and grab like this, or something of that nature. Be fluid with it. Take risk, because they're not going to, especially if you're engaging with the spectators, they're going to be looking at you. They're going to be listening to what you're saying. Practice, practice, practice. That trick doesn't take a whole lot to it. You can engage with your spectators as you're talking. Beautiful trick. You can do it standing or sitting, which is probably one of the best parts about it, because if you're building routines and you're trying to get better at magic, you're going to have magic that you can do standing and sitting. So remember, always remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And thank you for joining us for Card Reviews and Magic Theory by Jesse. And we'll see you in the next one.